We can take the standard read, write, and execute permissions on a file or directory further with the use of ACLs. ACL is an acronym for Access Control List. It is a way for us to further define who can have what rights to a file or a folder. We can use ACLs to deny a member of a group to read a certain file even though the group itself may have full access to the file, or grant another user access to a particular folder even if that user doesn't own that folder and that user isn't a member of the group that has rights to that folder. We need to mount the partition that is going to have ACLs on it with the ACL option. Let's edit the /etc/fstab file to grant this to our /home directory. Now we remount the home partition. And let's check our mounts to verify that we have the ACL option on our /home partition. And we can see that we are ready to set up ACLs on this partition. Now let's log in as K Armstrong and create a directory in K Armstrong's home folder that will contain a file that we want G. Freeman to have access to. Now let's log in as G. Freeman and see if he can read the notes file. As expected, G. Freeman is denied when he attempts to read the file. Let's take a look as to why G. Freeman can't read the file. We will check the file and folder permissions with the getf_acl command. The getf_acl command shows us the basic file and folder permissions and the extended access control list permissions. The output of the command shows that only K Armstrong has full access to the home directory, which is what we expect by default. Remember in a previous video where we stated that in order for a user to access a directory, they need to have the execute bit set to traverse that directory. With the file that we are trying to let G. Freeman read, we need to traverse two directories, the home directory for K Armstrong as well as the review directory. If we look at the permissions for the review directory, the output shows us that others can read and execute the review directory. So how can we grant G. Freeman access to that file? We can use setf_acl to grant the execute bit to K Armstrong's home directory, so that G. Freeman can at least get through that directory. We will not need to set the read bit since we don't want G. Freeman to read anything else in K Armstrong's home directory. Once we can execute the home directory for K Armstrong, we will then be able to traverse the review directory. What we are doing here is we are setting the file access control list for G. Freeman to have execute bit on K Armstrong's home directory. This M right here is just saying that we are modifying the ACL. Now let's take another look at the permissions. We see that only G. Freeman has the execute bit on the K Armstrong home directory outside of the K Armstrong user. Now that the permissions are set up for us to traverse the two directories, we should be able to read the file now. And we see that we can. Just to check that only G. Freeman and K. Armstrong can read this file, log in as Avance and attempt to view it. We can also grant G. Freeman the ability to write to this file with ACL permissions. To remove an ACL entry for a file or a directory, use the "-x option without any permission specified. Now let's test it out to see if G. Freeman can read the notes file.